then it's like next is like, who are you to judge me if I have a sexual predilection towards goats, or who are you to like, and it goes deeper and deeper. And this is the weird thing, right? We were talking about the old
Godless world.
yeah, it is. It's becoming so. But I believe the tide is turning. And we talk about the previous generations, like my granddad, who had this really hard line, like homosexuality is abomination. And he would say things, and people of his generation would often say things that were just so like, oh my God, that is so awful that you could even think that. But they'd say things like, look, if we if we tolerate homosexuality, then it won't be long before it's bestiality and pedophilia and all of these things are tolerated too. And I hate to say it, but it's actually unfolded exactly that way. Now that doesn't mean
It
that
has, but that doesn't mean
it doesn't mean that they're the same thing.
No.
It doesn't mean that homosexuality and pedophilia or rape or bestiality are in any way the same thing, right?
No, but
Homosexuality is a sin where nobody's being harmed, where people love each other and they're actually, a man and a man are getting together and saying, you know what, let's shackle our lives together and get married now that we can, and let's make good of how we are situated in the world and our desires, and let's have a good life together, and maybe let's raise a family and love them. It's like, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. It may not be biologically normal, but it's fine. But that insanity, like we have gone, yeah, homosexuality is perfectly cool now. We tolerate it and get married. Like, no worries. We're not going to even question it. And if you even say homosexuality is a sin, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, like all of that stuff that gets said. And I think anyone who's listening to this conversation in full would see that we're trying to speak about this with more nuance than that. It's not just like, they're going to hell. No.
We don't hate gays. I think that's
No, we don't.
the fact that we have to add that disclaimer is really frustrating, because we have gay people in our lives that we love dearly, and those gay people could easily judge me and say, oh, DI is so this and so that, and then I could say, well, they're outside of that trait of being gay, they're probably selfish, they probably lie to their parents. There are other things that would align us in terms of sin.
Yep.
The gay is just one aspect of it. Like, okay, you're gay. I don't really care that you're gay. Treat me right. Treat your fellow man right. And
so what's happened is we've got this society that's gone, well, and because it's become a largely atheistic, godless society, we've gone, yeah, we need to tolerate homosexuality in our society. Fine. There you go. Homosexuals have equal rights in every way now. But then now the left, neo-Marxist, postmodernists are pushing this agenda in the media, in the culture, in the universities. They're pushing it further and further. Like, now we need to tolerate that gender doesn't exist, and you can just identify as anything you want. Now we need to tolerate, well, pedophiles aren't monsters. They're just, they just have a particular desire. Now we need to tolerate that it's perfectly okay. And who are you to judge if a grown man wants to dress up in nappies and crawl around as a baby and be spanked by his partner? Like, all of these things. It's like, yeah, sure, like pedophilia, the exception, but all of these, like sexual kinks and that sort of thing, they're not harming anyone outside of it. But when it's being thrust upon us and being told, this is normal, and if you don't think it's normal, you're a bigot, right? Then we just see this complete erosion of anything normal. And that's postmodernism, right? It's like
normal. It's the word normal. Like, if you say something isn't normal, that makes you a bigot in some capacity.
Straight away, yeah. Yeah. And
probably bigots in their in their thinking.
And worse. I've been called all sorts of things since I started talking honestly about stuff. Probably, I supported Trump, so I must be a Nazi. But yeah, so we've got this erosion of any boundaries or any normalization of behavior in our society, and it will just go further and further and further and further unless we push it back. And so Christianity is the best way to fight it back, because Christianity is a way that says, look, there are norms and there are rules and they're objective and they are given to us by God, and we will all be judged, and you need to internally manage. It's not just the law of the land, like crimes that you've done and sins that you've done that nobody knows about and you'll never be caught for by another man, God knows about, and you've got to be right with God. And at the same token, you need to love your neighbor as yourself, and you need to not cast stones. Yeah, love your enemy as yourself. That's right. Yeah, and then Jesus' own commandment is love one another as I have loved you, which is like the dude got up on a cross and died the most painful death for us. Like, he wants us to sacrifice our own selfishness and our own selves for our fellow man. And so it's a Christian society is a society of charity, of love, of forgiveness, of acceptance, of tolerance. Christianity is the most tolerant society there is, but it also establishes reasonable social norms that protect people, and protect our culture and protect our children and protect the innocent, and put up a wall to fight back malevolence and insanity and irrationality and contradiction and all of the stuff we see coming from, neo-Marxism. So yeah, I think Christianity is the necessary new world order in a sense.
I would agree with that, or at least Christian Judeo-based foundations are eroding that need to be re-implemented into our society, for sure. I completely agree. So I was going to ask you about Christian persecution because you touched on gays now having the same rights as everyone. And I don't know what you made of the plebiscite here in this country of Australia, but it seemed very like it was pandering to a minority, and then the no campaign was not even allowed to be put forth for a while until it finally was, and there were placards and signs, people saying burn down churches. The country was really divided during that time.
And the left were just behaving abhorrently during that.
And it really bothered me that me even proposing the idea of voting no, I actually didn't vote, but proposing that I would vote no, or that I wasn't sure, made me out. I was perceived by certain people to be bigoted for not seeing the plight of the gay man. But the plight of the gay man in this country what is it? It's not like in the Middle East where gays are thrown off the roof. What is it? The plight of the gay man here is that they didn't have legal marriage, but they still had civil unions. So I wasn't really sure what the fight was for. And gay marriage had been proposed several years earlier, and no one cared at the time. So it definitely became a tool that was being used by the regressive left as a way of pandering to people to something. I don't even know what the purpose was. So the reason I raise this is because I think this is a step into, and the Christian persecution is a strong word, but I do think it's a step into that, because I would have happily voted yes for gays to be able to marry. I want them to be able to have the same legal rights as everyone else. I actually do, and this is what surprises people. If Australia was like America and it had a Bill of Rights and the Constitution was it protected freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, I would have easily been able to be like, oh, well, I'll just vote yes for them because Christianity will still be protected. But we do not have the freedom of speech as a legislation. We have it in practice. What's happening in Australia we could become the next UK and end up becoming an authoritarian country where people aren't let in for being Christians or conservatives. So what is your sort of takeaway from everything I just put forth?
Yeah, well, it's a complicated issue because I firstly believe that equal rights are necessary for all people under the law. And I've always been a supporter of civil unions, and I've always really been a supporter of gay marriage. But what's happened with this whole plebiscite and the way they've gone about it is it's kind of akin to what Jordan Peterson was pushing back against in Canada with the bill C615, where what's happening is C16, where as Jordan said, he said we must not cede the language to the ideological left, and that's what's happened with the plebiscite. Is essentially nothing has actually practically changed for gay couples, right? They've been able to have civil unions where they're legally partners and they have most of the same rights. I heard a couple of arguments about that in emergency hospital situations and stuff. The marriage thing would make it easier for the partner to have rights if the family happens to hate them and that sort of thing. And fine, like I want that to be fixed. You know, I want. Yeah, any couples who shackle themselves together for life and are committed and want to be there as their number one in life shouldn't have any legal obstacles for that. But what's happened now is, as you say, there's no protection for religion. So we've got no guarantee now that the state isn't going to come in and put fines or criminal charges or whatever on church priests who refuse to marry gay couples. You know, and we saw this happen in the States with the cake laws, and it took a long time to resolve. It's finally been resolved in the Supreme Court, and they've said, yeah, no, you can't force a Christian to bake a cake for a gay wedding. That's dumb. And that should have been the first. That should have been the first ruling. But we've got all of this, mixed ideology in the law, and so we don't have those guarantees in Australia that now that the law says marriage is any two adults, gender regardless. We don't have a guarantee that the law is not going to force us to participate in things that we may not believe in for religious reasons, and that could affect churches and priests. So what's effectively happened here is that nothing has changed for any religious people who don't believe in it, right? Like it's getting to the point where any lack of total support for gay marriage is being deemed wrongthink by the powers that be, and maybe if things get worse, you could be locked in a gulag for it. If things keep going this way to the extreme. So nothing has actually practically changed for most gay couples in Australia from the plebiscite. But what has changed is the definition of marriage has been co-opted by leftist ideologues, and the main reason, two reasons that I was very wary of the yes vote was, one is that it does actually pave the way for more empowerment of the state to re-educate our children with the Safe Schools program and things like that, where children in public schools are being indoctrinated with values and being told that these more traditional Christian values are just hatred and bigotry. And it's a way that the leftist government is actually able to defeat Christianity and Judaism and even Islam kind of slots into a different hole here, because the leftist government is so sympathetic of Islam, but it's not of Christianity or Judaism. But our children are being bred out from Christianity because Christian parents are foolish enough to send their children off to public schools where they're re-educated and indoctrinated. And my children will never set foot on a public school. I decided that even before I was Christian. It's like absolutely no way. Like my older son goes to a private primary school that only goes up to year 7, and then after that, he's either going to be homeschooled or he's going to go to like a Catholic or an Anglican private school. But there's no way I would ever put my children through a public school. Like I've had to fight back tooth and nail from the indoctrination that I received in public primary school, public high school, and university. I was just made into a little leftist by that system, and it's been a hard journey for me to actually fill my head with real knowledge and understanding and turn around and say, okay, like even just learning about the laws of logic and principles of reason, are just not taught. You're taught what to think, not how to think. And so there's that aspect with the yes vote, is that it paves the way for further indoctrination of our children. And then the second thing that's an issue for me is that now all of the documentation from our government pertaining to marriage has to be changed to be genderless, right? So now on a birth certificate, because it's law...
This is a touchy subject. I hate this. Sorry.
Me too. On a birth certificate now, it can't say mother and father. It'll say...
In Australia?
I don't know if that's happened yet, but this is like going to be a necessary consequence of changing the definition of marriage, is that we're changing the definition of the family. And now, and I've already said earlier in this interview that every child has a mother and a father. Now, there are going to be crazy leftist lesbians and gay people out there who are going to say that's hate speech. It's like, no, it's biological fact. It doesn't mean every child has to be raised by a mother and father. I think that's optimal, and I think there's strong evidence to say that it's optimal. and it has optimal outcomes for the child. But, and this is always the thing that gets raised where I have to step back and go, yeah, look, you've got a heterosexual couple who beat their child and abuse their child, and then you've got like a lesbian or a gay couple who are loving and gentle and kind. It's like, this is better, obviously.
Why do we
better.
have to say that? It's irrelevant to our overall picture that we're painting.
Yeah, that's right. That's
it's always an exception to the rule, and of course those gay people we have.
And it's a fallacious argument against the general statistics that say, look, children, girls and boys, do better when they have a mother and a father in their life. And obviously there are going to be exceptions to the rule, and obviously there are going to be kids who are just who would have been better off if they'd never had a father or never had a mother.
The same thing with abortion. Everyone says, like Ben Shapiro rules this subject matter, and they go, oh well, abortion is bad because what if the person was raped? And he goes, okay, so we allow it for rape, and then so let's allow it for rape. Now can we agree that abortion is bad? No. Abortion is needed. Women should be able to have abortion still. And it's like, so we're willing to give you the caveat, but you can't do the same for us. It's the same. It's circular.
Yeah.
It's circular thinking, and it's just it bothers me.
Never stop spinning. So they're the two main kind of practical issues that I had with the plebiscite, and I think it's done and dusted now, and it's been made into law, and I think
it's fine.
What we were saying, people who were skeptical or no-leaning were saying, well, why not just have it, and this has been said for, like 2 or 3 generations now, why can't the gays just have their own thing? We just call it gay marriage, and it's not marriage. Because, marriage is, in our culture, same-sex marriage, marriage in our culture has been between a man and a woman for 3,000 or 4,000 years, at least, if not much more than that, And people say, marriage existed in pagan cultures before Christianity or whatever. It's like, whatever, but we're not, we're increasingly so, but we're not really in a pagan culture. We're in a Judeo-Christian Western civilization. And so our tradition has been for a very long time that marriage means man and woman. And now, gay couples can get married. And so it's like, now marriage means man and woman, man and man, woman and woman. And then how long until it's like 3 people can be married, or 4 people can be married, or 4 adults and a child, or 4 adults and a child and a goat? Like, where do we draw the line? Why stop at gay couples?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not just say, well, I can marry, a lady in the UK, I think, married a chandelier recently. Like, it's like, why are we arbitrarily saying that 2 people is a marriage? Why not make it 50 people, including children and animals, can get married? It's arbitrary. And so
they don't have a reference point, whereas we have
a biological reference point. We have a biological reference point given to us.
Take it to that, but they don't. That's just not where their head goes. They are trying to redefine anything and everything they possibly can. And at one point, they're gonna go F-U-C-K. It's too late. We've stuffed it up. We've stuffed everything up. If they're not already there. If some of them haven't already noticed.
This is the primary mission of postmodernists, intellectually, Marxists politically, is to, if there's a structure, if there's a tradition, destroy it. Yeah? Like, level it down. So nothing is true, up is down, squares are circles, black is white, like total insane contradiction land. And this is why we need to push back, because we've seen this play out in history, that the more that this irrational, contradictory, aphilosophical mindset takes over our laws and our culture, it leads to a lot of death. It leads to the 250 million people who were slaughtered by their own governments in the 20th century alone under communism. And so, people might think that's an irrational leap, like gay marriage is going to lead to 50 million people being killed, or 100. Yeah, not directly, but this is all part of a bigger
picture that has yet to be painted, but has been painted many times before in history's past.
Yeah. And so the word marriage, the idea of marriage, has now been successfully co-opted in the West by the left, and it now means a very different thing. So I think where we move forward from here as Christians and as traditionalists in that sense, is we create our own institution now. We just go, you know what? the government doesn't have to have anything to do with Christian marriage anymore. It shouldn't have in the first place. That's right. It never should have. And we gave the institution to the government, and they've now changed it into something else. So let's just go, all right, Christian marriage, right? We're not going to register it with the government. We're not going to be on that database, but we're going to get married in the church under God. And whether or not that's legally recognized by the government, it's recognized by God, and our church will be our community who uphold it. And it is a serious deal, and it's defined by biblical traditions. We don't need the government to validate our marriages. And this was the main thing that I said throughout the whole plebiscite was, you know what? I don't want to vote on whether gays should be allowed to be included on the register for marriage or not. I want to vote to abolish the register. The government should just get out of the business of marriage altogether.
I love that line.
Yeah. I would never go up to a gay couple at their wedding and say, this is wrong, this needs to stop. Like, I'm a musician. I've performed at gay weddings. I actually played it. I think I played at one of the first legal gay weddings after the plebiscite went through as a musician. It's like, I celebrate love and I celebrate commitment and I want people to be happy, you know? But what I don't want is for the government to tell us what one word means and it doesn't mean, you know? Language needs to be owned by the people, not by the government.
Well, language needs to be exactly what the word is meant to be. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. You were saying that you would never let your children go to a public school. Don't you think it's funny how people work so hard to separate church and state and separate religious study and education in school, yet liberalism and atheism and all of that garbage has infiltrated its way into the school system, and that's being taught? So why can't they just stick to strict education and that's it? And I don't know. Do you see the
like the trivium where you actually learn some stuff that's useful for life and
not pronouns and all that extra crap.
Yeah, look, the whole modern schooling system was designed off the Prussian model from the late 18th century, which was designed specifically to produce soldiers. It was designed to produce subservient, uniform young men who would be cannon fodder for the war machine. Right, so it's not, did I say 18th century or 1800s? It was late 1800s. Yeah, not 18th century, 19th century, sorry. But it wasn't ever designed to produce grand individuals who go out and, you know, conquer the world and make great things and contribute value in a free market society. No, all the people who did that, you know, around the Industrial Revolution and before, it's like we've got thousands of years of history of families educating their own children. And like, you know, what America now has in charter schools, where like a group of families get together and they go, hey, that guy, you know, so-and-so's dad is probably the best teacher among us. He'll teach 5 of our kids or 6 of our kids or 10 of our kids. But it was a community, family-oriented education model. And most of it was just like children participating in the life that their parents live. Kids getting out there and plowing the fields on the farm. Kids sewing and stitching their clothes together, and kids preparing meals and just living. And then in the evening, sitting by the fire and reading books and learning about the world. It's like that was the educational model for the West for a long time. And then this modern, like sit down in a classroom, all line up, wear uniforms, listen to what the teacher says, take dictation, and repeat ad nauseum is a design for producing soldiers. It's not for producing thinkers at all.
I actually wasn't aware of this.
So
educating me right now.
Yeah. So the very design of our schooling system and the private schools, a lot of them have adopted the same model, but at least they have more of a free market approach to how to educate the kids. They've got more value incentive for their teachers, and they've got better resources a lot of the time. And then, you know, most of the private schools tend to be Christian anyway, so they have religious values added in as well, which is great. My son goes to a Steiner school, which is much more based on the traditional model of education, which is, you know, not about filling their head with knowledge and getting them to, you know, learn by rote and repeat stuff. It's about storytelling, music, participation in, you know, eurythmy, physical activities when they're really little. And it's more of it sounds like a bit of a lame hippie word to use, but it's more of an organic sort of approach to education. And And yeah, like I'm seeing him thrive in that. And every kid I know who's gone through that particular style of education, Montessori is another really good one. So there are these alternative models that completely reject the standard Western system of education, and the kids do really, really well from them.
Don't you find it pivotal, though, for the future generation? What you're saying, I think I agree with. I haven't looked into all of that just yet, but certainly something I'm wanting now be more aware of. Don't you think it's pivotal that we are aware of what the other side is saying? So obviously you want to mold your child the right way, and that's understandable. But you also don't want them to be stuck in our own echo chamber either. Like we gave props to your parents earlier for saying we're no longer going to go to this church. However, you can continue to do so if that's what you want. So the critical thinking aspect is key. So don't you think it's important for your kids to be able to wear bifocals, to be aware of what the left is saying, even though you want to raise them and cultivate their beliefs to a point, and then obviously you want them to make a decision at some point. But but it sounds like right now they don't even know what the other side is saying, right?
Well,
that might be too young at this point. I don't know. I'm not a parent.
Look, I agree with what you said before, is that, school should be about education, right? I don't want my kids to learn about anything political in school, ultimately, or anything religious, or anything, like, I want my kids to develop, reading, writing, arithmetic, social skills, and, and at the school my boy goes to, there's things like gardening and knitting and sewing and all of these other, cool, practical skills that they do from a very young age, and art and that sort of thing. But I'm very interested in allowing my children to discover the world of politics and religious values, and from a plethora of sources, and even I only became Christian last year, and we've started attending church, and we take my son, and he was like, oh, what's this? This is weird. Like, things have changed. Now we believe in God, and we're going to church, and I'm learning about Jesus. And I've always just said to him, look, not everyone believes in Jesus, and I didn't believe in Jesus, and now I do, and here's why I believe. And, you don't have to believe, but, find out for yourself. You'll make a choice one day if you really believe in your heart. I believe this is the truth, and I know you trust me, son, so I know you're, he's believing it because I believe it. He trusts me. But he's believing it on my authority, not on his own discovery. And if it takes him 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, whatever it takes, I want him to discover Jesus for himself in his own time. And I'll never force it on him. And if he comes home, he already has, he's 6 years old, but he's already come home, questioning stuff. Oh, I don't think it's true. And then I just say, oh, why don't you think it's true? And we have a discussion about it. I'm not going to reject his viewpoint. And so with the schooling stuff and the politics, we were so indoctrinated in public schools. I don't want my children to be indoctrinated. And if I find out that the safe schools agenda is creeping into any of the curriculum in the school, I'm going to be marching in there and saying, I'm pulling out unless you ditch this. Like, this is not what we're paying you for. This is a private school. We're paying you for a Steiner education, and that is not part of it. Get rid of it, cut it away, or we're gone. And I'm going to be absolute about that, because I won't have my children indoctrinated with this garbage. But I do want them to be aware of it. So when they're older and they're teenagers, it's like, YouTube, kid, go for God. Like, let's sit down and spend 6 hours on the weekend watching political videos on YouTube. Let me show you Ben Shapiro, and let me show you his opponents, and let me show you the people on the left, and let's watch a documentary by a feminist, and then let's discuss it. And then let's watch
the Young Turks.
and then let's watch the Red Pill and see, oh wow, we've got two things here that are in complete contradiction to each other. Which one sounds more reasonable and why? Like, I don't want to indoctrinate. Again, this is the key to education, is we should never teach our children what to think. We should teach them how to think. And it's not happening in public primary schools. It's not happening in public high schools. It's not happening in universities. So we need to abandon that traditional educational institution, and we need to look to the free market, which is YouTube. It's Jordan Peterson's forthcoming online university. It's Udemy, where you just buy course by course. It's It's the community where you find people. It's books. It's a library. Like, have a library at home, for God's sake, people. Like, have some books in your house and read them to your children and let your children read them. So grassroots education, like back to the old way, I think is the way.
No, I think I agree with you for the most part, absolutely. So do you think, back to the Christian persecution, do you think Australia is headed to a point like Sweden and the UK where Christians, or Christian conservatives, or not even Christians, but people who identify politically as conservative, will be marginalised and mocked and ridiculed? I mean, it's obviously happening already, but
yeah, we're already at the point of marginalisation and mocking and ridicule, but it's but that's fine. Like, people can mock and ridicule, like, whatever. But will we get to a point where we're locked up, for quoting scripture on Twitter? Will we get to the, like, because this is starting to happen in the UK?
Yeah, God loves you is considered some form of. I forgot.
Yeah, well, even
story, but someone says loves you, God loves you, and they go in trouble for it.
Yeah, and people are getting arrested, or at least getting a scolding from the police showing up at their house because they've tweeted something that is pro-Christianity, anti-Muslim. And yeah, I mean, I'm concerned that this is going to happen here. And of course, people like us who are outspoken about our values in a public way, we're probably fine for now because we're not that big. But if we get a really big following, then they'll want to string us up as examples to everyone else. And I've got this feeling like the tide is beginning to turn, but then I also look at the scripture and it's promised to us that things it's promised that things are going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's promised that the persecution is coming. It's promised that times will be desperate and the Christian will be suffering like never before. And then Christ will return. No, I don't take the whole Bible allegorically.
Okay, sorry.
I just took the part about the lake of fire.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like, people want to try to pin the Bible down and go, is it true? And my answer to that is yes, it's true. Oh, what? So you really think that angels, like Jesus, is going to come flying down on horses, or you really think that Jonah lived for 3 days in the stomach of a giant fish? Like, you really think that's true? It's like, yes, it's true, but now we need to talk about what you mean by true. And there are different kinds of truth. I refer you to Jordan Peterson versus Sam Harris, but there are different kinds of truth, and also the Bible is not one thing. The Bible is many different books, and some of them are poetry, some of them are allegory, some of them are mythology, some of them are historical eyewitness reporting. Yeah, so it's like, there's no one thing, and even within the Gospels, which are historical eyewitness reporting, there's parables, which are not true stories.
Yeah, the Good Samaritan is a parable.
But they're parables, and they have truth. They have transcendent meta-truth in them. It's truer than, it's truer than facts like I am male and this is a table made of wood. Like, the parable of the sower is a much higher level of truth than mere facts. So anyway, I got sidetracked on a rant there.
That's okay. I was going to say that this is a good discussion to have, but it's something that we should have like separately because
there's theology there, and exegesis. But I think the Bible, I don't know how to interpret it or when to expect it. So I don't know if things are going to get better or worse for Christianity in the West. Maybe we're coming into an Edenic time, maybe we've actually already been through the worst and it's getting better, or maybe the worst is yet to come.
I was going to say that during Hitler, that would have been the end in the minds of some people, and then things got better after that. And even before that, there have been moments where I'm sure Christian persecution was on the rise, and then things got better, and then it levels out. So hopefully we're not. I mean, I do.
And even Paul the Apostle seemed convinced that Jesus would return in his lifetime. That it would be much sooner. And it's like the truest part there is that even Jesus himself said, "I don't know when the day will be, so just be ready." Just be ready, and that's all we can do is keep the faith, uphold our traditions, uphold our values, and preach the word, and let people know Jesus' love and how it can shine through us from person to person, and keep building that, because it's, look, even if the Bible wasn't true, even if Christianity is false, a Christian world is a better world than than the alternatives.
Well, every single society that was based on Christian Western Judeo values is arguably a better society, and it should be uncontroversial to say that.
Yeah, that's right. Western civilization is the greatest civilization that this planet has ever seen, and it may be and it's eroding now, and we need to fight back and build it back up, because maybe it could get greater, or maybe it doesn't get better than this. We don't know, but we got to try to get it better. And when we see, as you say, that there's a one-to-one correlation between Judeo-Christian values and the thriving and wealth of a society, right? Just as we see that the freer the market, the more capitalistic and less socialistic a society, the more the society thrives, and the rising tide brings everyone up. The absolute poverty line was cut by 50% between 2000 and 2012.
That's amazing.
That's the most radical.
I just saw that, which is funny. A moment ago.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson said it last night. It's like fresh statistic in my head. It's like that is the biggest.
I was watching Dave Rubin a second ago. Before we started speaking.
Yeah. I agree. But yeah, it's like
guys.
This is almost Edenic, like the world is getting better for people. Like the suffering is decreasing exponentially. Yeah. And in a lot of these countries where that poverty is changing, we also see there's an explosion of Christianity happening. Like Christianity is faltering in the West, but in China and Africa, it's growing faster than ever anywhere in history.
And in the Middle East, there's actually a shitload of single Christians.
Yeah.
In North Korea, there's a shitload of private Christians.
Yeah. And so what's happening? Is the kingdom coming, or is the mantle of Christianity being passed from the West over to Africa and the East in China and Korea? Like, who knows? Who knows what God has in store for us? But one thing that we do know is that regardless of whether things get worse, and regardless of whether the West turns into a Gulag archipelago, Soviet-style communist hellhole over the next 20, 30, 50 years, even if you and I find ourselves in jail and under absolute privation and torture, God wants us to keep the faith, and we'll all be tested. And the martyrs, the saints, went through much worse than us.